we are in this series, and it's called Pro Tip, and the reason is because we're talking about wisdom, right? We're talking about things that we can do, or things that we receive through wisdom that help us to live a better life, and that's what this whole series is about. And I want to ask you. I want to bring up somebody who I think is a little bit not controversial. Might not be the right word, but you have an opinion one way or another about this person. Okay, you might think they're great. You might think they're awesome, and that's LeBron James. Okay, does anyone know who LeBron? Okay, everyone knows who LeBron James is, right? Never heard of him, right? So who here thinks LeBron James is awesome, right? Okay, nobody. All right, well, we're actually zero difference of opinion. Everybody hates him. I'm just asking your opinion of him. What do you like, good or bad? Okay, so it gets paid. Who doesn't care for LeBron James? Okay, who's very indifferent about LeBron James? Okay, several people there. They don't care. Doesn't matter what. Okay, so here's the deal. LeBron James is probably one of the 10 most famous people in the world, right? Where if you go, hey, name 10 people more famous than LeBron James that are alive right now.
Jeff Bezos. Donald Trump.
I mean, name 10. I need 10. Okay, so no, you're good. You're good. You don't have to list them. But I don't think you could, right? And so here's the deal. LeBron James, there's some people who think LeBron James is the best thing that ever happened in professional basketball, right? They think he's better than Michael Jordan. For those of you who disagree, you're probably right, okay? So I might feel that way. But here's the deal about LeBron James, right? People feel different ways about him, right? He's done some really good things, but there might be some things or some way that he's handled himself that you might not really like as much, and that's okay. You are entitled to your opinion about LeBron James, right? But there's no doubt that he has put in a lot of work to be as good as he is at basketball, because he didn't just wake up at the age of 18 and become one of the best basketball players to ever live, right? That didn't happen, right? He trained and he made decisions every day to train and to become a better basketball player to the point where he is now. But here is the deal. This isn't really a conversation about how good or not good you think LeBron James is. This is a conversation about people have very different opinions about LeBron James, right? And I, we don't need to talk about what your opinion is or isn't, but what I'm saying is a lot of people from a distance, because they know who he is and they've maybe watched him play or they've heard about things he's done on and off the court, they have feelings about him. And so they go, he's great, or no, I don't really care for that guy too much, right? And people have opinions. And here is the thing. We all have these opinions about him based on what we know or what we see, and we kind of come to conclusions about LeBron James. But do any of us really know LeBron James that well? Right? We don't know, we see him as a basketball player, we may see him as a movie star, we may see, the different, foundations and charities that he does, all these different things. Right? You may think that, you may see that, but you're not there every day of LeBron James' life to see everything he does. Right? And so you don't know everything there is to know about LeBron James, but you have an opinion about him. And here's the point that I want you to see from all of this, is you cannot control what people think about you. Right? Because the reality is everybody in this room has lived a life, and you've made decisions and you've done things and whatever it is that you've done, right? And then there are people who are not you, and your friends, maybe people that are acquaintances, maybe just people that you know at school, you pass by, or people that don't like you at all. All of these people have opinions about you, right? They have thoughts about you. They say, hey, that's what's her face, that's what's his face, and they're great. I love them, they're awesome. Or I can't stand to be around them. The things that they've done or the things I've seen. So here's the deal, right? We talk about LeBron James from a distance, and the reality is people make opinions and judgments about you too, whether you realize it, right? And that hurts sometimes if it's a negative thing, or it feels really great if it's positive. But the truth is You can't control what other people think about you. And that's hard to hear because we really, like, there's a desire in us to control what people think about us. Like, there's a desire. Some people, this is a really strong desire. You're like, it really matters to me what people think about me. And there's others of us that, like, you might sit here and you go, you know what? It doesn't bother me that much. Like, and that's just the reality. Some people, it bothers people more than others, but you can't control it. You can't convince somebody to think a certain way about you. They just form an opinion about you, right? The reality is you can't control what other people think about you, right? But we try, don't we? Like, it's something that we try to do. It's something that we try to do, but the reality is we can't convince people to think a certain way. We just can't control them the way that they think about us. So what about you try to convince people to think about a certain way about you, you realize you can't do that, but what about people who make assumptions about you, or they make a decision about you that's not very favorable? Like, what if they try to make a decision about you? And maybe you've had this done to you. Maybe you've had this where people make a decision about who you are, right? And they're not quite right. Here's a couple scenarios, right? Maybe there's something that you did, right? Something that you've done, and it's in the past, and now people think a certain way about you because of something you've done, right? And you tried to like, hey, I know people think a certain way about me because of something I've done. It was really stupid. I hate that I did it, but that's out there now. And that's frustrating, right? Here's another thing that's frustrating. What if people think things about you because of things that just aren't true? What if someone started some kind of rumor or some kind of lie, and now they think something that's not true about you? They think that about you because someone started a rumor, right? And that's out there. And so we're in this situation where we're like, hey, I can't control what people think about me, and sometimes they think things about me that either was because of something I've done a long time ago that I hate that I did, or I've done recently and I hate that I did, or it's just not even the case. Like, it's just not even something that's true. So what do we do about this? And here's the thing. This is another thing, right? Sometimes when today we're talking about the idea of integrity and the idea that the things that we do, the decisions that we make, actually have an impact on our lives, right? And sometimes they have an impact on how people perceive us, right? And this is crazy, isn't it? We live in a world, do we not, where sometimes the people who do the worst things or do things that aren't great, right, they actually get a lot of popularity for their unwise decisions. Do they not? Like, you probably know people who are influencers or famous on social media or whatever because they've done things that are stupid, right? Like, this is a reality, and like, these people get popular even though they've made unwise decisions, but that is like the backbone of their popularity. What about this? What about people who, and I don't know, but like, help me here, but when I was growing up, if you followed all the rules and you did all the right things, or at least you pretended like it, you act like it, people called you a name that wasn't necessarily a good thing, right? What would those be? What? What'd you say?
I was going to say snitch.
Snitch, right? Yeah, maybe. Like, have you ever heard anyone called like a teacher's pet, right? It's like, oh, you just always suck up to the teacher. They love you. Like, or have you ever heard this one? Goody two shoes. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Like, is it like I get the idea, I get the implication, but is it like you're good because you have two shoes? I mean, a lot of us have two shoes. Anyway, that's not really. The point is this. Like, here's the deal. There's like names, like there's people who make the right decisions and they get praised, and there's people who do the wrong things, make poor decisions, they get praised, they get popularity, and there's people who do the right things and they get made fun of and ridiculed for it sometimes, right? This is kind of like the backwards reality that we sometimes live in. So maybe this is also you, right? And this might be hard to hear, or maybe you already know this and you're okay with it. But maybe for some of you, you're one way around your friends, and you're a different way around adults. Right? Your reputation, you have a different reputation around your friends than you do around adults. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, we all have this reputation, people have opinions about you, and maybe around your friends you act one way, but around your parents, around teachers, around like your small group leader, whoever, you act a totally different way. And your reputation with your friend group is this way, and the adults in your life who might think one way about you, in fact, they just don't know you at all. And so maybe you're living this like double life of sorts. Your reputation is created by the decisions that you make and the life that you live. And so all of this, and we just realizing we can't control it, right? We can't control what other people think about us. We can influence it. We can do things that might, but like, here's the deal. This is what I want us to see. We can't control what other people think about us. And tonight we're going to look at, like I said, this is a series about wisdom. We've been in the book of Proverbs this whole series, our third week. And so if you have your Bible, you can flip to the book of Proverbs. It'll also be on the screen. But Proverbs is a collection of wisdom sayings by a guy named Solomon, who was king of Israel. And Solomon was a very, very wise person. In fact, in Scripture, it says he was the wisest person to ever live at that time, right? And so we see that Solomon collected all these things. He wrote these things down so that we could benefit from this wisdom. And now we have it in God's Word where we can see some of this wisdom. So we're in Proverbs chapter 10, verse 9, and this is talking about integrity, right? This whole conversation is about integrity. I've heard integrity defined like this. You might have probably heard this before. I heard it from a football coach, so you've probably heard it from a football coach or a basketball coach or a track coach or whatever. But integrity, right, is what you do when no one's watching. You ever heard that? Right? So you've probably heard that. That's a pretty good definition. Here is what the Scriptures say in Proverbs about integrity. It says this: whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. So this is a haunting passage a little bit, because it's saying, hey, if you walk with integrity, if you do the right thing, even when no one's watching, if you do the right thing, like even when no one expects you to, if you're always making the decision that is the most wise, if you're doing the daily things, right, then you will be secure. But if you don't, right, if you make your ways crooked, meaning if you walk without integrity, you will be found out. And that's so interesting, right? Because think about it for a second. If you make all the right decisions, even when no one's even when no one's watching, right? Like, you don't have to worry about being caught doing something you shouldn't be doing, because you're always doing the right thing. But if you don't, like if you go, hey, I act one way in front of these people and I act a totally different way in front of these people, I'm not making the best decisions for me, I'm not making the wisest decisions, and you go, hey, my ways are crooked, someday it's going to come out and people are going to find out and you will be found out. Right? And so you're going, hey, I could have been walking in integrity, but instead I decided, hey, I'm going to cut some corners. Right? I'm going to do things that benefit me that might hurt someone else. Or I'm not going to tell the truth all the time. Or I'm not going to do what I say I'm going to do. Or I'm going to do things that I know my parents don't want me to do. I'm going to do things that I know that the Lord doesn't want me to do. Right? And if you keep living like that, eventually it's going to catch up to you. And you're going to be found out. Right? And this is not a hey, you better act right or else God doesn't love you. That's not what this is just wisdom. This is saying, hey, if you want to live the best life that you can, the wisdom here is that you need to make the right decisions, you need to do the right thing daily, all the time, even when you think no one will find out if you did the wrong thing. And so, when we choose integrity, right, our life becomes better. That's why choosing integrity is better. This is the only way that you have a good reputation and peace. And here's what I mean by that. Peace is talking about that whole idea of like, hey, if you're doing the right thing, you don't have to worry about being found out. And good reputation, if you're constantly doing the right things, you're living in integrity, you're making those daily choices to live how you know you should live, then you're going to have a good reputation and you're going to have peace when you sleep. You'll be able to sleep at night, right? Because you're not always wondering, are people going to find out what I've done? Are they going to find out how I've been lying to them? Are they going to find out how I've been manipulating them? Like, I'm just worried that one day I'll be caught. And then I'll be exposed and everybody will know the real me. And that's what happens when you don't live with integrity, right? You're always worried. You don't have that peace. You may have a good reputation, even if you don't live with integrity, because people don't know you're deceiving people, but you don't have that peace. The only way to have that good reputation and peace is to live and choose integrity. There's another verse I want us to look at in Proverbs 22, verse 1. It says this: a good name is more desirable than riches, than great riches even. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Do you hear what this is saying? This is saying your name, like what people think about you, your reputation, is more valuable than money. What people think about who you are is more valuable than great riches. You could have all the money in the world, but if you have no integrity, you're bankrupt. This is what Solomon is saying here. He says, if you want real wealth, not necessarily monetarily or financially, whatever, but if you want real wealth, you need to have a good name, meaning you need integrity. So this is what Solomon is telling us. In these two things, it's like you need to live with integrity. And this is all about, and I've mentioned this a couple times now, it's all about every day making the decision to live with integrity. Every day making the choice to do the right thing. Every day. And here's something that might haunt you, okay? And maybe I'm betting there's probably some of you out here who will agree 100% with what I'm about to say next. And that's this, right? That your reputation doesn't truly matter to you until you wish you had a different one. Your reputation doesn't really matter to you until you wish you had a different one. Here's what I mean. Some of you already know what I mean. Some of you already get what I'm saying. Your reputation, you might be thinking, it doesn't matter what people think about me. Like, I don't care. Like I'm going to do whatever I want. Until you realize that no one trusts you because your reputation is you always lie to people. Or no one wants to partner up with you for anything because you always backstab. Or no one wants you around in serious moments because all you do is act goofy. Right? Or it could be any number of things. They're like, whatever it is, and you probably can think of some situations in your own life, right? Where you go, hey, I did this thing and I wasn't thinking, or my thinking was I'd get away with it, and then I did it, and now my reputation is in shambles, like it's destroyed. And now people don't want to be my friend, people don't want to be around. People look at me when I walk down the hallway and they go, what? They're like, I can just tell what they're thinking. And it's at that moment where you go, my reputation really matters because I wish I had a different one. I wish that what I was known for would be different. I wish that my reputation wasn't what it is. And so I want to tell you real quickly kind of a situation in my life, and these are kind of silly, kind of goofy a little bit. But when I was younger and I was like a little kid, we would play card games and things like that around my house. And I don't know if you did that when you were younger or you still do that. I love games to this day, right? But apparently, I was a terrible loser, okay? Who knew, right? So when I was younger, we'd play a game. I'm talking 6 or 7 years old, okay? Maybe even young. if I was going to lose a game and I realized I wasn't going to win, like, there'd be a meltdown, right? Like, I'd cry, I'd throw things around, whatever, I'd be all upset. And here's, like, the truth is, like, I loved playing games, but I hated losing. I was a terrible sport. And so my family was like, we're not going to play. Like, we can't play because your reputation, what you do is you just, like, you can't handle to lose. So we're just not going to play. Now, like, in that, like, as I get older, or as I got older from that, and I would start to become like 9, 10, 11, teenage years, it's like, hey, I don't want to be this poor loser that people think I am, but I have this reputation now that like, I'm going to get upset when I lose a game. And so, like, even though I'm, like, trying to, like, hey, I'm going to be a good sport, people still have this idea in their head, like, nah, man, you're going to melt down. Like, and I'm like, I was a kid, right? Like, this would be like as a teenager, like, I don't do that anymore, right? And it would be this whole, it would be this whole deal of, like, trying to, hey, that's not me. But that was who I was. Like, that was the decisions I made, and the reputation I built, because that was what it was. And I was at this point where, like, I wish that wasn't my reputation anymore, but it takes time to change, for people's perceptions of you to change. So the thing is like, our reputation might not matter to you until you wish you had a different one. So what do? How do you start to change your reputation? Because the reality is, my past decisions, your past decisions, all these things, they build our current reputation. So what do we need to do to change our reputation? Well, here it is. We can control the decisions that create our reputation, right? Oh, let me go back real quick. The decisions that no one sees, this is our bottom line. I do want to put this back up here. The decisions that no one sees, right? The decisions that no one sees build the reputation everyone remembers. This is the truth, because we think it's only the things that people see, but the decisions that no one sees build the reputation that everyone remembers. And what does this mean? What am I actually saying here? I'm saying that even every little decision you make every day, even though people don't see it, right? It all goes towards your integrity. And when you get pushed and you get challenged and you go, hey, I've made all the good decisions every day, and it comes to a point where you prove, hey, I've got integrity, your reputation is what people see at that point, because you've built it up every day. And then they see that and they start to remember. And that goes to the thing that I was just saying just a minute ago, is that your past decisions build your current reputation, right? So the decision that no one sees build the reputation that everyone remembers. So what do? We control the decisions that create our reputation. You can't control what people think about you, right? We said that over and over again. You can't control what people think about you, but you can control the decisions that create your reputation. We can control the decisions that we do that create our reputation. So here's 2 things you can do, real quick, that can help you with this. Your decisions are the starting point, right? So if you're thinking like, how do I do this? How do I build a better reputation? How do I get people to see that I'm not this person that I used to be, or excuse me, that I don't want to be this person that I'm perceived as? Your decisions are the starting point. Here, let me give you some example. Is it, hey, I've got some work I need to do. I got schoolwork, I've got whatever it is, and I need to work on that. That's the thing I need to do. But Netflix is calling my name, right? Like my PS5 is telling me what I need to do right now, right? My like TikTok, like I need to be watching some TikTok right now, right? But here's the deal. Listen, this is important. This is a real thing, okay? This happens in your life. You have an assignment you have to do, but all these other things are saying, hey, come do this. And your decision in that moment is, do I do my work, which I know I need to do? It's the right thing. It's the right decision. Or do I cave and I go binge 3 hours of Netflix? Now here's the deal. Your decision in that moment, whether you think it's meaningless or not, is defining your integrity. Is your integrity, hey, I can finish this and then I can go do that thing. That's the order I should do it. Or is my decision, it doesn't really matter. I'll get it done eventually. Or is it, hey, I have the decision like, I'm going to stay up late. I'll get up later. Even though I normally want to read my Bible in the morning, I don't need to read it today. Right? And then in those moments where you, are you making a decision that's better for you, or are you making one that's compromising your integrity? Your decisions are the starting point, and it's every day, and it's multiple times a day. To go back to LeBron James, he didn't become LeBron James in one day. It was a lifetime of decisions of him saying, I'm going to do everything I can, every day I can, to become a better basketball player. Your life is probably not going to become LeBron James, and that's fine, and that's actually more than okay, right? But in your life, you want to have better integrity, and so every day you need to start making those decisions. It starts with you. And then here's the next thing you can do. Choose one element of your integrity and start working on that this week. Pick one thing. For you, if it's like, hey, you know what? I do need to just finish my homework. That's something I really, or it's like, hey, I just need to read my Bible. I'm not, even if it's 2 minutes of reading a Bible, if it's a verse of the day, if it's whatever, you go, hey, I need to make the choice. Or is it, hey, I need to pray today? Or is it, hey, I'm going to go a whole week, and I'm not going to lie to my friends. I'm not going to lie to my parents. I'm not going to ignore that person that I don't really care for. Right? I'm going to be nice to this person that I'm normally mean to. Whatever it is for you, pick one element of your integrity this week and say, hey, I'm going to do the right thing, even when no one's going to praise me for it, even when no one's going to notice. What does your integrity look like? And this is where we're at, right? This is the deal. Because the thing about integrity is that no one sees most of the decisions you make. No one sees it, right? And you could cheat the system, and you could, hey, this is what I'm like, and really you look like this, and people have this idea about you that's not really you, and you're building your reputation, but we know the truth is this: the decisions that no one sees builds the reputation that everyone remembers. And so tonight, this week, what I want you to realize is that your everyday decisions, when it comes to your faith and walking with Christ and being more like Jesus, your daily decisions matter more than just the big every now and then decisions. How you live every day of your life, when no one sees you, builds the reputation that everyone remembers. Let's go ahead and pray.